What if I told you that everything we know about human history is only the last page of a book that's been written and erased countless times? What if our skyscrapers, our technologies, our cities, our entire sense of progress are nothing more than the latest attempt in a long series of civilizations that rose, thrived, and then vanished so completely that only myths remember them? Tonight, here on CryoQuest Documentaries, we're going to open a door that most people never dare approach. Because once you step through it, the world you know will never look the same again. Think about this. Humanity has existed for at least 200,000 years, yet everything we call history fits into the last sliver of that timeline. What happened during the first 95% of our existence? Why are there gaps in the archaeological record? Why do cultures across the world, from Egypt to Australia, from the Arctic to the Amazon, tell stories of great floods, great fires, and worlds before this one? Were these myths or memories? This documentary journeys into the forgotten layers beneath our feet, the ruins that don't fit the timeline, the knowledge that appears too advanced for its age, the myths that seem too detailed to be fiction. We'll explore the supervolcanoes that nearly wiped us out, the asteroid impacts that reshaped continents, the sudden collapses that erased entire cultures, and the ancient technologies that suggest humanity may have soared higher before and been reset. You're about to see evidence that challenges the foundations of mainstream history. You're about to hear stories that survived extinction-level events. You're about to understand why so many civilizations speak of cycles, beginnings, endings, and beginnings again. And before we begin, I need you to do something important. Subscribe to CryoQuest Documentaries, not just as support for the channel, but because this journey is part of a bigger quest to remember, to rediscover what earlier civilizations may have known and what ours may be in danger of forgetting. Every subscriber helps us keep these long, immersive investigations alive. So lower the lights, slow your breathing, let the world outside go quiet, because the secrets we're about to uncover have waited thousands, perhaps tens of thousands of years for someone to find them again. This is CryoQuest Documentaries. And tonight, we ask the question humanity has feared for centuries. How many times has civilization been reset? And could we be next?
Before this documentary truly begins, before we dive into the stones, the myths, the ruins, and the scars of forgotten ages, take a moment to do something simple. Subscribe to CryoQuest Documentaries. Your support allows us to continue exploring the mysteries of human origins, lost civilizations, cosmic dangers, and the silent truths buried beneath our world. Now, let's begin. The illusion of a linear history. Humanity likes tidy stories. We like to imagine our journey as a straight, continuous line, an unbroken evolution from caves to cities, from crude tools to quantum computers, from wandering tribes to global civilization. We assume that everything leading to now developed in a smooth upward climb, each new discovery building upon the last, each generation wiser and more advanced than the one before. But what if this is wrong? What if our story isn't a line at all? What if it's a loop? What if it's a spiral? What if it's a cycle of birth, destruction, forgetting, and rebirth? repeating across tens of thousands, perhaps hundreds of thousands of years. This chapter introduces the most unsettling possibility of all. We may not be the first advanced human civilization on Earth. We may simply be the latest. And the world we know, our cities, our technologies, our records, our assumptions, may be nothing more than the most recent chapter in a book far older than we understand. The blank space before civilization. Open any history textbook, and you'll notice something strange. Human civilization, cities, writing, agriculture, appears only around 10,000 to 12,000 years ago. Before that, a blank page, a void, a silence stretching back tens of thousands of years during which fully modern humans, with brains identical to ours, supposedly did nothing more than hunt, gather, and survive. No cities, no monuments, no mathematics, no complex social structures. Nothing. Does that make sense? We've been biologically modern for at least 200,000 years. So, why did we suddenly, almost magically, begin building cities, temples, calendars, and monuments only after the last ice age ended? Why does civilization erupt almost instantly across the world? Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, Mehrgar in Pakistan, Jericho in the Levant, Çatalhöyük in Anatolia, the early dynasties of Egypt, the Sumerians in Mesopotamia, all rising in a shockingly tight window of time. Why? Were humans simply waiting for inspiration? Or were they remembering, rebuilding, starting again from fragments carried through a catastrophe? If we're not the first, where are the others? The question critics ask is simple. If older civilizations existed, where are their ruins? But ask a geologist, not an archaeologist, and you'll get a shocking answer. Almost nothing survives 20,000 years. Nothing survives 50,000 years. Nothing survives 100,000 years. Cities crumble. Metals corrode. Wood rots. Clay dissolves. Glass fractures, and time itself becomes a relentless eraser. Add ice ages, rising seas, floods, volcanoes, asteroid impacts, and the disappearance of an entire civilization becomes not just possible, but inevitable. 99% of Earth's ancient surfaces have been destroyed, recycled, or buried. If civilizations existed before our known timeline, their ruins may lie deep underwater, beneath the 300 to 400-foot sea level rise after the last ice age, beneath deserts, once fertile plains, beneath jungles which bury structures in decades, under miles of glacial rubble, or ground to dust by continental movement and erosion. The Earth does not preserve the past. The Earth consumes it. If we vanished tomorrow, how much of our civilization would survive 50,000 years? Almost none. The myths that should not match, yet do. Across thousands of cultures, separated by oceans and continents, one strange pattern repeats. The world has ended before. Civilization has been destroyed before. Humanity has been forced to rebuild before. Floods, fires, ice, cosmic impacts, wars between gods, golden ages shattered by a catastrophe. How can myths from Australia and Iceland, the Amazon and Siberia, India and Polynesia all tell the same story? Coincidence? Or cultural memory? When every culture on Earth remembers a reset, when every tradition warns of forgotten ages, when every myth speaks of worlds destroyed, maybe we should stop calling it mythology. Maybe we should start calling it history. The archaeological anomalies we can't explain. Then there are the impossibilities. Structures so advanced for their time that they simply shouldn't exist. Göbekli Tepe, built 6,000 years before Stonehenge with 20-ton carved pillars. Baalbek's Trilithon, 800-ton stone blocks moved with precision we still can't explain. Sacsayhuaman, with interlocking stones that fit together with laser-like accuracy. Pumapunka, cut with apparent machine-level precision. These sites do not show a slow evolution of architectural skill. They appear suddenly and fully formed, as if the people who built them were working from inherited memory, not first-time invention. So, who taught them? Where did the knowledge come from? Why do these massive advanced structures appear before the cultures capable of building them? What are we missing? The mysterious disappearances in our genetic story. Modern genetics reveals something even shocking. Humanity almost went extinct, not once, but several times. Population bottlenecks. Drastic reductions in human numbers, moments where only a few thousand humans survived worldwide. That is not the story of a species steadily rising. It is the story of a species repeatedly reset, repeatedly reborn, repeatedly forced to rebuild. If these bottlenecks correspond to catastrophes, then myth and science overlap. The floods happened. The fires happened. The destruction happened. The resets happened. The disturbing possibility. The more evidence we gather, the more the standard timeline of human civilization collapses under its own weight. We are left with a simple, haunting possibility. We are not the first. We are not unique. We are merely the latest attempt. Civilizations may have risen before us. They may have fallen. They may have vanished completely, leaving only whispers, stones, and shadows. And if that is true, then everything we know about ourselves, our purpose, our progress, our destiny, changes completely. Ending call. Support CryoQuest Documentaries. If you're still with us at this point, if this journey through forgotten ages fascinates you, terrifies you, or awakens something inside you, then subscribe to CryoQuest Documentaries. This channel survives because of viewers like you, curious minds searching for truth in a world full of missing pages. Your subscription helps us continue unraveling the mysteries of lost civilizations, cataclysms and resets, archaeological anomalies, human origins, and the hidden cycles of time. This is only Chapter 1. The deeper story is just beginning.
In every corner of the world, on every continent, among tribes who never knew one another, separated by oceans and thousands of years, there is one story that never disappears. There was a world before this one, and it drowned. The flood myth is not limited to the Bible. It is not owned by any religion or culture. It is a global phenomenon, an echo that refuses to die, a whisper carried across generations, a trauma preserved in the human soul. But here is the haunting part. These stories are too similar, too global, too consistent to be dismissed as coincidence. Why did humanity, from Aboriginal elders in Australia to the Hopi in North America, from the Hindus of India to the Maya of Mesoamerica, carry the same memory of a world-ending flood? And why does the timing of these stories align with real geological events? Let's begin where the waters first rise. The great meltwater floods, a world that drowned for real. When the last ice age ended, approximately 12,000 years ago, something extraordinary happened. The massive glaciers covering North America, Europe, and Asia began to melt, not slowly, not gently, but in catastrophic pulses. sea levels rose approximately 300 to 400 feet worldwide within a few thousand years, in violent surges that reshaped coastlines forever. Imagine entire continents being rewritten. Imagine rivers reversing. Imagine oceans swallowing land at a rate no human had ever witnessed. This wasn't a slow geological drift. This was a planetary drowning, and humanity lived through it. Coastal civilizations lost under the sea. Human beings have always lived near water, rivers, lakes, and especially coasts, because coasts are where food, resources, and trade flourish. But during the last ice age, coastlines were dramatically different. Sea levels were far lower. Vast landscapes existed where oceans now roll. When the ice melted, those ancient coastal settlements were swallowed whole. Every civilization before the flood, if any existed, is now underwater. This is not speculation, it's measurable truth. Today, some of the most mysterious underwater sites show evidence of construction older than known civilizations. Yonaguni, Japan, terraces, steps, and megalithic formations under 100 feet of water. Dwarka, India, submerged ruins spread across 9 square miles. Cuban underwater formation, massive geometric shapes resembling pyramids. Mediterranean shorelines, ancient harbors, and structures now irretrievable beneath the sea. Archaeologists rarely search underwater because it's extremely expensive, it requires advanced equipment, most assume there is nothing to find. But if civilization existed before the flood, then its entirety, its cities, temples, ports, lies beneath up to 400 feet of water. Everything above ground today is simply the rebuilt world. Everything older is gone. The flood myths that shouldn't match, but do. Let's examine the global flood stories not as myth, but as ancient reportage, witness testimony passed through oral tradition. Number 1, Mesopotamia, the Sumerian flood, Ziusudra, or Utnapishtim. Older than the Bible, older than Noah, recorded in cuneiform tablets. A god warns a righteous man of a coming deluge. He builds a vessel, saves life, and watches the world drown. Sound familiar? This story predates the book of Genesis. Number 2, India, the Matsya Purana, Manu's flood. The god Vishnu, in the form of a fish, warns Manu of rising waters. A boat is built. Seeds, animals, and knowledge are preserved. Number 3, Greece, Deucalion and Pyrrha. Humans grow corrupt. Zeus sends a great flood. Only 2 survive in a chest-like vessel. Number 4, the Hopi, the third world destroyed by water. Humanity falls out of balance. A flood cleanses the world. Survivors emerge to begin the fourth world, our world. Number 5, Maya Popol Vuh flood. The gods flood their earlier creations to erase them. Number 6, Aboriginal Australia, the drowning of the coastlands. Thousands of years old, oral traditions describing real rising seas. Number 7, Inca, the flood of Unu Pachacuti. A deluge destroys all but a few survivors sheltered in the Andes. Number 8, China, the Gun Yu flood. A massive, world-changing flood lasting generations. That is not coincidence. That is pattern. That is memory. The science behind the stories. Geology identifies violent episodes of sea level rise called meltwater pulses. 2 of them align perfectly with global flood traditions. Meltwater Pulse 1A, 11,500 to 14,600 years ago. Sea levels rose rapidly, up to 65 feet in a few centuries. meltwater pulse 1b. Around 11,300 to 11,000 years ago, another rapid surge. These dates correlate stunningly with the age of Göbekli Tepe, Plato's account of Atlantis, and multiple flood myths. Could these myths be recording real events witnessed by real survivors? Absolutely. The Younger Dryas, a world made in water and ice. Around 12,800 years ago, a sudden violent cooling event known as the Younger Dryas struck the Earth. Some researchers argue this was caused by a comet impact, a massive airburst over North America, or a swarm of cosmic fragments. The result? Instant climate chaos. Melting ice sheets halted, then restarted, then collapsed catastrophically. The amount of fresh water released into the oceans would have devastated coastlines worldwide. Entire cultures could have vanished overnight. The survivors, the few who lived inland or on mountains, would have told their descendants, the world drowned, and those descendants remembered for 12,000 years. Plato and Atlantis, myth or memory? Plato didn't invent Atlantis. He said he was recounting an ancient Egyptian story, thousands of years older than Greece. The Egyptian priests told Solon that humanity had been destroyed many times before, by fire and by water, and that the Greeks remembered only the most recent reset. Atlantis, according to Plato, was destroyed in a single day and night of catastrophe. What kind of event destroys a civilization so quickly? Rising seas, earthquakes, tsunami chains, melting glaciers releasing water in sudden bursts. Exactly what we know happened at the end of the Ice Age. Plato may not have been writing myth. He may have been recording history. Why the flood matters. If the flood lifts around the world preserve memories of real catastrophic events, then they reveal something profound. Humanity was not starting from zero 12,000 years ago. Humanity was restarting. Civilization didn't suddenly appear. It reappeared. And the flood was the dividing line, the reset, the erasure of everything that came before. Göbekli Tepe, suddenly appearing with advanced megaliths, the first spark after the dark. Agriculture emerging across multiple continents at the same time, the rediscovery of lost knowledge. Cities rising where the waters finally retreated, the rebirth of human organization. The flood did not destroy humanity. It rebooted it. The emotional core of the flood story. Imagine being there. You are part of a thriving coastal settlement, a people older than history remembers. You have fields, livestock, trade, rituals, art. Your world is secure, and then the water begins to rise. First inches, then feet, then storms you've never seen, then entire coastlines disappearing, then forests drowning, then valleys filling, then your world collapsing. You flee inland. You abandon everything you built. You watch the ocean swallow your past, your identity, your memories, your civilization. You tell your children, they tell theirs. And so the story becomes myth, then legend, then scripture. That is why the flood story never dies. It is carved into our DNA, a memory humanity shares. Are we headed for another flood? Sea levels are rising again.
Scattered across the earth are ruins that defy explanation. Ruins built with stones so massive modern cranes struggle to lift them. Cuts so perfect lasers would envy them. Alignments so precise they sync with the heavens. Foundations older than the civilizations built on top of them. These structures shouldn't exist. Not according to our timeline. Not according to our understanding of ancient tools. Not according to what we think humans were capable of thousands of years ago. And yet, they exist. Silent, immovable. Testaments to a forgotten age. They don't fit the narrative, so the narrative has ignored them. But CryoQuest is not here to ignore anything. Let's walk among the stones that shouldn't be here. The stone that modern machines struggle to move, Baalbek. In Lebanon, on a hill called Baalbek, lies one of archaeology's deepest mysteries, the trilithon. 3 stones, each weighing 800 to 1,000 tons. Not 80 tons. Not 200 tons. 1,000 tons. They form a foundation so precise that a postcard can't fit between the stones. Modern engineers admit, we would struggle to move these today even with industrial cranes. But someone moved them. Someone lifted them. Someone placed them with mathematical perfection. And the Romans, who built temples on top of these stones, openly admitted these foundations were already here. Older than Rome, older than recorded history, built by a civilization we cannot identify. A civilization that had either unheard of manpower, unheard of tools, unheard of technology, or all 3. Baalbek shouldn't exist, but it does. The precision of a machine age, Pumapunku. At nearly 13,000 feet in the Andes lies Pumapunku, a ruin so precise it reads more like a machine shop than an ancient temple. Here, you find H-block stones carved to exact matching specifications, corners sharper than modern blades, drill holes perfectly straight, stone channels cut as if with industrial tools, angles accurate to fractions of a degree. These stones are made of andesite, a rock nearly as hard as granite. And according to archaeology, they were carved by stone hammers. Take a deep breath. Does that make sense? Engineers who visited the site have said, this level of precision is not achievable with Bronze Age tools. So what were the builders of Pumapunku using? What did they know that we do not? Why does it look like someone was mass-producing stone components, as if on an assembly line? And why was the entire complex destroyed suddenly, as if by cataclysmic force? The stones lie shattered, not toppled, shattered, as though the world they belonged to ended overnight. The Great Pyramid, an impossible architecturally machine. The Great Pyramid of Giza is not simply a tomb. It is a monument of mathematical and architectural genius so advanced that even today, its base is level to within 1/20th of an inch. Its sides align almost perfectly to true north. Its ratio of height to perimeter encodes pi and phi. It reflects the dimensions of Earth itself. Its inner chambers resonate at specific acoustic frequencies. And here is the most unsettling part. There is no evidence of trial and error. No prototypes. No earlier attempts. No rough drafts. It appears suddenly, fully formed, as if the builders inherited the knowledge from somewhere else, or someone else. The ancient Egyptians themselves said, "We built with the wisdom of the gods who came before." Memory keepers? Survivors of a previous cycle? Or something even older? Göbekli Tepe, the temple that should not exist. In southeastern Turkey lies Göbekli Tepe, a site that rewrote history the moment it was uncovered. It contains 20-ton pillars, intricate carvings, aligned circles, astronomical symbolism, evidence of organized labor. And the date? 12,000 years old. Thousands of years older than agriculture, older than cities, older than writing, older than the wheel. According to our timeline, humans at that time were hunter-gatherers. They did not build temples. They did not carve 20-ton stones. They did not create complex astronomy. And yet, they did. Göbekli Tepe appeared out of nowhere, fully formed. No developmental path, no earlier stages. And after centuries of use, someone buried it. Intentionally, carefully, like a time capsule. As if they knew a reset was coming and wanted to preserve something for the next world. The underground cities of Cappadocia. Deep beneath Turkey lies Derinkuyu, an underground city capable of housing 20,000 people. It contains ventilation shafts, water wells, storage chambers, animal pens, temples, defensive mechanisms. But here's the part that makes no sense. We don't know who built it, or when, or how. Carving miles of tunnels through volcanic rock would require enormous labor and advanced planning. Yet there are no inscriptions, no records, no gradual development, no architects named, no civilization claiming it. Derinkuyu simply exists, as though carved by a people fleeing disaster, people who needed protection from something above ground. What were they hiding from? Invaders? Climate collapse? Something falling from the sky? We may never know. But Derinkuyu stands as a reminder that ancient people were capable of far more than we imagine. The polygonal megaliths, a global language of stone. In Peru, Greece, Turkey, Italy, Japan, and Easter Island, we find the same impossible technique: polygonal cyclopean masonry. Stones weighing 20 to 200 tons, carved with multiple angles, shaped to interlock like a puzzle, fitted together with zero mortar, resistant to earthquakes, still standing after thousands of years. The seams are so tight you can't slide a razor blade between them. This technique appears across cultures supposedly separated by oceans, eras, languages, histories. How did civilizations with no known contact achieve the same impossible stonework? Were they influenced by a shared predecessor civilization? Survivors traveling across continents spreading knowledge. Memory keepers preserving a lost technology. Or is this the only technology capable of surviving world-ending resets? Polygonal masonry survives earthquakes, floods, fires, erosion, time. They may be the oldest structures we have because they were designed to survive. Easter Island, statues of a forgotten age. The Moai statues stand like silent sentinels staring inland. But underground, the bodies continue, many buried 20 to 30 feet deep. The islanders say the statues represent their ancestors who could walk. But the real mystery lies in the quarry techniques, the precision carving, the sudden halt in construction, the transportation methods, the stone hats weighing 13 tons that were somehow lifted onto heads. Nothing about the Moai is simple, and their collapse? Sudden, unexplained. A cycle ending? A resource collapse? Or an echo of a global event that struck cultures worldwide? Underwater megaliths, the world before the flood. Structures like Yonaguni, Japan, Dwarka, India, the Bimini Road, Bahamas, Atlit Yam, Israel, Pavlopetri, Greece, all lie underwater. Some date before the end of the Ice Age. Some contain stone circles, paved roads, tool marks, walls and steps, signs of habitation. The ocean has swallowed an entire chapter of human history, a chapter full of monumental architecture, a chapter full of answers, answers still waiting beneath the waves. The pattern in the ruins. Across the world, impossible ruins share the same characteristics: sudden appearance, high-precision engineering, megalithic stone blocks, astronomical alignment, advanced geometry, abrupt abandonment, destruction by unknown forces, loss of knowledge after construction, myths of gods or teachers who taught the skills. This isn't a coincidence. This is a pattern suggesting a highly advanced civilization or civilizations existed before the last reset. Their knowledge spread globally, carried by survivors. Their monuments are the oldest, not the newest, structures in history. The civilizations we know, Egypt, Sumer, Indus Valley, inherited knowledge rather than discovered it. Human history is not a straight line, but a cycle of rises and collapses. And the ruins, the ones that shouldn't exist, are the surviving fragments of those previous cycles. Why the ruins matter now? We stand at a crossroads. Climate instability, technological fragility, geopolitical tension, resource depletion, planetary stress. All signs of a civilization nearing a breaking point, just like those before us. The ruins are not just archaeological mysteries. They are warnings. They tell us civilizations fall, knowledge is lost, nature resets the world, survivors rebuild, but only if memory is preserved. And if we fail to listen, we will become the next mystery, the next impossible ruins, the next chapter buried beneath sediment and time.
As this journey ends, a strange realization settles in. Civilization isn't a straight line. It's a fragile miracle, balanced on forces we barely understand, repeating its patterns across thousands of years like a whispered warning from the past. Every myth we explored tonight, every flood, every fire, every fall, is a remnant from people who lived through resets and tried desperately to keep their memories alive. Now the question becomes, what will we do with what we've learned? The ruins we unearthed, the knowledge that vanished, the civilizations that rose and fell long before ours, each one leaves behind the same message. Remember us. Don't repeat our mistakes. But humanity forgets. We forget faster than we realize. We forget that our world has nearly ended before. We forget that advanced knowledge can vanish in a single generation. We forget that cities, languages, sciences, and cultures can disappear without leaving a trace. And perhaps the most unsettling truth is this: we are not immune to the cycle. Our technologies may be advanced, but they are also delicate. Our systems are interconnected and therefore vulnerable. Our knowledge is digital and can disappear in an instant. If another reset came tomorrow, how much would survive? Who would remember us? What fragments of our world would become myths for the next civilization? As you sit with these questions, as the echoes of lost worlds linger in your mind, I want you to look forward to the choice we still have. We can be the generation that breaks the cycle. We can be the ones who finally listen to the warnings encoded in stone, in stars, in DNA, in myth. And that's why subscribing to CryoQuest Documentaries matters. This channel isn't just a collection of videos. It's an archive, a digital memory vault, a place where we document the forgotten chapters of human history and explore the possibilities that mainstream narratives overlook. By subscribing, you help preserve this work. You help safeguard these stories. You become part of the chain that carries knowledge forward. Don't let this be just another documentary that fades into memory. Let it be the spark that ignites curiosity, caution, and understanding. If civilizations have indeed risen and fallen many times, then perhaps the greatest question is not whether the next reset will come, but whether we will be ready for it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for remembering, and thank you for supporting CryoQuest Documentaries. Until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, and never stop asking the question the past is begging us to answer. Will we break the cycle or repeat it?